On today's podcast, I had former pro basketball player turned expert luxury realtor Sam Coleman on. We went over a whole bunch of things of what it was like growing up in a tough neighborhood to being a pro basketball player, going through the struggles of that. I know all too well about what it's like trying to make it to the big time and just dealing with everything going on with that. But we also go over what it was like for him trying to develop as a realtor, especially in the luxury space where he had to face many different adversities like racism, like getting rejected at doors, getting chased by dogs, and other things. So it's a really good episode, and Sam gets really philosophical on different things that you can apply to your life. If you're looking to get motivated and you're looking to overcome adversity and get rid of your false beliefs, this is the episode for you. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Are you looking to grow your real estate investing business? My company, Future Flipper, can help. We've taught hundreds of people all over the country how to flip, wholesale, and buy rental properties. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your investing journey. Whether you're trying to get your first deal or scale your company, Future Flipper can help. We have courses, coaching, and events for all levels of investors. So if you want to take the next step, go to futureflipper.com and book a free consultation to see how we can best help you. Once again, that's futureflipper.com. If you've ever wanted to invest with me on my real estate deals, it's now possible. At Pineda Capital, we're purchasing value-add real estate all across the country. This includes multifamily, commercial, and land development. The best part is, with my network, social media presence, and marketing strategies, we're able to get the very best deals that others don't have access to. You can join in with me on those deals if you're an accredited investor. If you want to learn more, head over to pinedacapital.com to see our current opportunities. Once again, that's pinedacapital.com. Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show, where our mission is to invest.
I only expect to make money in things that I understand.
Innovate.
It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past.
And inspire. I am much more likely to hit my goal just due to putting it out there.
You're now rocking with the best.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Pineda Show. Today, I've got myself a former athlete turned real estate guy on the show. I love my athletes because they can relate to the struggle that I had to endure. And it's always cool to talk about how, what life is like after sports. So happy to have former basketball player Sam Coleman on. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. So, man, it's cool to see your growth these last few years in Vegas. You've really kind of scaled to doing a lot of luxury now, man. Tell me about that.
Yes. So got into business in 2016. In 2015, I got cut from the Phoenix Suns G League team. So I thought politics were in my favor at this time. I've been playing ball for about 5 or 6 years. And my agent gave me a call. He said, Sam, we got a great opportunity with the Suns. I just need you to go play 10 games in the G League, shoot 40+% from three, give me 10 or more rebounds a game. You got your shot. I'm
dude,
like, done.
There ain't many people doing 10 rebounds a game, shooting 40% from three, dude. You're Dirk Nowitzki, dude.
Yep. So I took that challenge. I said, let's go. Let's get it. I was in the best shape of my life. I get there to training camp, and I'm killing it. And then they put me at the small forward position. He was like, this kid can go. I was lean, 235.
How tall are you, by the way, for the viewers?
I'm 6'10".
6'10", 235, shooting threes, rebounding the ball.
And that was my go-to. Like, I had lost a little bit of athleticism from tearing my ACL in 2010. But for the most part, it was about shoot the ball, get some rebounds, play solid defense. This is your shot. Well, that didn't work out. So I got a call from the GM, and he goes, Sam, this is unfortunate. It has nothing to do with your ability, but now is just not the time. Stay ready, though. Well, I had been hearing stay ready for the last 5 years of my career. I quit. I was kicked and screamed, frustrated with my agent, frustrated with life, mad at God. I'm like, dude, I've done everything. Like, I never cheated. I never switched up. I never quit. I got up at 4 a.m. every day. I ran the drills. I stayed hours and hours and hours, and it just didn't work out. So 3 months later, I then start working at Solar City, got the job at Solar City, and I'm like, this sucks, but I'm in orientation at Solar City, and the Suns call me back. Hey, Sam, you in shape? Yeah, I'm in shape. Sitting there with a tie on in orientation trying to figure out how to sell solar. And they say, we want to fly you to Dallas on Friday. You want to play Saturday. And I'm like, all right, let's go. My agent sends me over the contract. I'm ready to go. Call my boy, hey, let's go hit 24-hour fitness right now. I quit on the spot. I'm like, dude, I can't just show up off the couch.
Yep.
So I had been taking all my frustration out in the gym. So at that point, I was about 245, 250, straight muscle, just no cardio at all.
Right.
And I get there, everybody's like, man, you've been hitting the weights. Yeah, I've been hitting the weights, man. That's, I've just been staying ready. No, I was not staying ready. I got cut back in Vegas on Monday, kicked and screamed, cried, angry again, called my agent, don't call me again. I'm going to get my real estate license. Yeah. So go take the test, fail. Like, all right, everybody's, oh, don't worry about it. You'll get it next time. Go take the test again, fail. So long story short, I took that test 4 times and failed it. So at this point, I'm driving for Uber and Lyft, and
how many times did it take to get your driver's license test, dude?
1.
Oh, okay. At least you were qualified for Uber.
I was qualified for Uber.
All right.
So my wife is, she's like, Sam, maybe real estate,
it ain't for you.
It ain't for you,
Yeah.
right? Let's try something else. So at that point, I felt like now she gave up on me. So now I'm frustrated and I'm pissed off. But I'm pissed off in a way where it's like, I'm going to go do this no matter if somebody supports me or not. And it wasn't that she didn't support me at that time. It was just like, dude, we don't have the money for you to go keep taking this test.
Yeah.
I actually borrowed the money from her to go take that 4th time. So I woke up the next morning, drove for Uber from 4 a.m. I started at the airport. And at that time, it wasn't like you turn on your app and then rides are just coming. People are making thousands of dollars a day.
It was still
just starting out. So I drove from 4:30 and I scheduled the very last test to take. And I drove all day, made the $100, did the quick cash out, went and took the test, passed it. By the time my wife had got home from work, I was like, bam, I passed the test. She was super excited, jumped in, we hugged, super celebrated. And then I was like,
now
wait,
what?
now what? And we got these MLS dues. So
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I need another $2,000. Well, she charged all of my MLS dues on her credit card, maxed out her credit card. Now my back's against the wall for real.
Yeah.
There's nowhere else to go but that way.
Right.
So got with a national brokerage. 10 days after I got my license, I got a call from an Uber rider. Sam, I want to list my house. They were a tenant from my house from a family in California. They want to sell their house. Run back to the brokerage. Hey, I got a listing. Somebody help me. Nobody was there to help. That day I saw an ad. Are you tired of not getting support from your brokerage? Do you need somebody to show you the way? Click the link, get a phone call, go meet the broker at a small boutique firm. And they helped me get that listing live. And 30 days later, I sold that home for $205,000. That $6K changed my life.
That's amazing, dude.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I remember I got started in the business back in 2010. I had no idea what I was doing. I had nobody helping me and just like, hope it works.
Yep.
And I remember getting those MLS dues like, dude, where am I going to come up with $2,000 for this? And, I think my first real estate commission was, I want to say it was like a $70,000 house. So it was really small.
Yeah.
But back in 2010, the prices were just so cheap that it just is what it was. And that amount, I was like, man, I can make money. But I just know the value of getting your first deal, whether it's as an agent or a house flip, a wholesale, whatever. Dude, it's life-changing because it gives you proof of concept that everything you've been trying to do can actually work.
Yep.
So what made you even want to get into real estate from sports? Because I never wanted to do it. Real estate was not anywhere on my radar.
So 2 things. The first thing was my wife's grandmother was an agent. And one Sunday I was in between seasons, and this might have been 2014, 2015, in between seasons. She asked me to help her set up for an open house. So she's a part-time agent. She works at the contractors board, but she's like, Sam, come help me set up. Cool, I'll carry the table. I'm a big guy. I carry the tables, bring in the cookies, the flyers, everything for her. And she goes, well, Sam, when I sell this house, I'm going to get a commission check for $30,000. I'm like, wait, what? You're going to sell this house and they're going to give you $30,000. Where do I sign up? That was the first thing. And the second thing, I was in a preseason. I was in the off season, actually, not preseason, but off season, about to go to Israel. And me and my buddy that I was training with at the time, we used to run hills together. And he was like, man, do you ever think about what you're going to do when you get out? I said, no, not really. I mean, I don't want to sell used cars. Did that already.
Right.
But probably some type of sales gig. And I said, man, I talked to my wife's grandmother. She's in real estate. She got this opportunity to make 30 G's just from holding an open house. I don't even know what an open house is at this point, but I'm like, man, I might do that. All she's doing is setting up with cookies and a table, and they're going to give her $30K. I want that. So that's what really prompted it.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see because everybody has a different path into real estate. Like nobody grows up wanting to be a realtor.
No.
Like it's not a career that, well, maybe it's a cool career now with Netflix and selling Sunset and all these things. People are like, oh, you can make all this money.
Yep.
But that's super dope. So tell me about kind of how your career's evolved since that first deal.
So at that time, I had no strategy, no business plan. I didn't even know what a business plan was at that point. All I knew was I worked hard. I still got up at 4 a.m. I still drove for Uber. And I thought at that time, the more people that I would meet, the more opportunity that I would have to get more listings from driving Uber.
Right.
And I never forget the broker that spoke at the MLS class, when you get sworn in, said, the agent with the most friends win. And I'll never forget it. So at that point, I subconsciously knew that I just needed to meet a bunch of people. So I would go around to all the new home developments at that time, and I would just talk to anybody who would want to talk to me. And I met these nice ladies that work for a builder, and they said, you know what, Sam, I like you. You asked me one of the questions that nobody else has ever asked me, and I've been doing this for 20 years. So I asked her, I said, what are some of the things, if you had to go back to when you first got into real estate, what are some of the things that you wish you knew? And then what are those things that piss you off about agents when they come into your new home community? And she kind of looked at me like, is he serious? And I really want to know, so I know what not to do. And that turned into every week I would take her a green tea and our partner a chai tea latte. And I would go talk to them. They would give me a wealth of information. And one day they say, Sam, we got this house that we just cannot sell. We can't give it away. It was a quick move-in home. Well, she said, you want to do an open house? I said, sure. Go do an open house. I held it 3 to 4 days a week. That house was $999,000. I was just happy to be in $1 million house. It was ugly. It was bad design, but I was in $1 million house, and that was enough for me because it was an opportunity. Well, at that time, the way I used to do my open houses was I would set up 35 signs that I borrowed from my brokerage because I didn't have my own signs. Set up 35 signs, go home, take a shower because it was hot and I was sweaty, put a sign on the door that says, out putting out signs, be back momentarily. Well, when I came back from taking my shower, shirt unbuttoned, tie not even on yet, there's a brand new white Escalade sitting out front, about to drive off. So I blow the horn. Lady answers, rolls her window down and says, are you the agent for the house? I say, yes. Would you like to see it? Well, that family bought that house. They had just came from the Cadillac dealership, just buying their Vegas vehicle because they were relocated from Arizona. I sell that house, show them houses in the Ridges, and I had a talk with the husband. He goes, Sam, you seem like a very charismatic young man, but here are some things that you're going to need to do if you want to make it in this business. And he told me about my appearance. My pants didn't fit. They still don't fit, but at that time they didn't fit. I didn't mean to make them not fit.
Right.
My clothes were disproportionate. I had a really big tie on. I had a 2005 Chevy Impala that smelled like cigarettes, and it had cigarette holes in the back seat. And when I went to show them a couple other homes, they didn't want to get in my car.
Right.
They had me get in theirs.
Right.
And he just told me, he's like, hey, you got to step it up a little bit because you have what it takes. And in that moment, I knew specifically that I was on the right track. And once I got the opportunity, I would come correct the next time. So then after I started making a little bit of money, went and bought me a Mercedes, started caring a little bit more about my appearance, what I always have. I just didn't have the means at that time. So then I started getting pants that fit, getting nicer, more proportionate ties. And then I started to read more. And those little things at that time in 2017 were pivotal. I still focus on that. And that's what I teach agents that join my team now. Care about what you look like, be charismatic, and the agent with the most friends win.
I love that, dude. It's funny. When you were describing that, I was thinking about there's like that NBA meme of like the 2003 draft class, like how they're all wearing these big old suits. And like, But that was the style back then. But now, obviously, it's not.
Yeah.
And what did this guy do? Because, I mean, obviously, he was buying this $1 million house from you. And, he really, was treating you like he was a mentor a little bit. Like, what was his career?
So he basically, him and his wife, they had a stone business, a stone and cabinet business that they sold to Home Depot in the 80s. So their game was he goes and finds properties around the U.S. The wife redesigns them. They live in them for a couple years, and then they sell them. So when they sent me their proof of funds, they have a real estate account that they just buy properties with, not their
Right.
main account, and it had $10 million in it.
Yeah.
I looked at that $10 million and I'm like, dude, this is insane. Like they're real, like this is real. People
Right.
are really living like this. And yeah, man, he was really cool, laid back guy, very unassuming. But when you talk to him, he just had that look like this guy is classy and he looks like he has money.
Yeah. Like this guy, I believe what he's saying.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a different kind of, I think you can tell too. Like it doesn't, you see it today with Instagram and everybody, right? Like you can see the Lambos and different things, and you see the guys who you're like, that guy's trying too hard.
Yep.
And then you see guys who, maybe like you were back then, who are like, dude, that dude would not trust that guy right now with how he looks. And then you see the guys like what you're describing, where you're like, that guy's doing well. Like he don't even need to talk about it. Like you just know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of where you want to be. Like I tell our realtors and just, people that are, in my companies all the time. I'm like, dude, how you dress and represent yourself, like plays a huge role, whether you like it or not. Like the world is going to judge you depending on the image you put out. And like, you got to really think about your image because, if you do take the Lambo approach, there's going to be a connotation that comes with that.
Correct.
If you take the broke approach, there's a connotation that comes with that. And then if you take somewhere in between, whatever image you're putting off, you're putting off.
Yep. Once you open your mouth, you tell people who you are. But before you even open your mouth, people are judging you.
Yep.
So I never understood the persona that came along with being a businessman. I never understood the language that I needed to speak to be in business. But over time, I started to learn things. And my superpower, I believe, is extracting information. Like even the things that we talked about offline, like taking that information that you've given me, that somebody who is in a particular space, how can I take that information and now put it to use? Because now I'm responsible for what I do with that information. So knowledge isn't the power, it's what I do with that knowledge that gives me the power. So that's what I've been really good at. So I took those things and it's like, all right, I need to pay attention to my appearance. And then it became, all right, now I need to know what the heck I'm talking about.
Right.
So the reason why they liked me so much is because I sat the house so much. I knew every single thing about it. I knew what sound the doors made because if you go in that third bedroom and that window's open, that wind drag is going to pull the door and then that third door squeaks. Like that's how often I was in that house. I knew everything about it. So the materials, et cetera, the construction process, why it's been on the market so long, and every objection that you can probably think of, I had gotten from sitting in that house so long. So they respected me on my knowledge and the way that I communicated that information to them.
Yeah, for sure. So, obviously that was your big, breaking moment.
Yep.
So how did it proceed from there?
Then it became this mad dash of like, well, my first commission check was $6,000. My very next one, I think I sold the house for $270,000. It was a Lennar quick move-in home. And then my very next sale was that $1 million home. And it was like, how do I go get more $30,000 commission checks?
Right.
So I started calling agents, calling them anything that was $700,000 or more in Summerlin in my farm. And I would call them, hey, can I do open house in your house? No, screw off. Go get your own business. This isn't charity. Screw off. And then the one person answered the phone and said, sure, I'll do it. Well, it was an agent. Her and her husband had never moved into the house. So she said, sure, Sam, it's vacant. You do an open house. So I did an open house on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Uh-huh.
I held that open house. 3 weekends later, I sold that house. I sold the house across the street. And then one of the buyers that bought that house, I listed their house right next door in the community right next door. Another game changer. Now, this is my first year in the business, and everything that I took from getting up early, putting in the work, staying focused, quality people, building relationships, knowing your stuff, being presentable, I just apply that over and over and over and over and over again and just duplicating that process because it was a numbers game.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I tell people this all the time, every business I've ever done, it just comes down to volume. People are like, man, why am I not getting enough deals? I'm like, well, you ain't making enough offers. Like, that's all it comes down to.
Yep.
They say, man, I'm not growing on social media. I'm like, how many videos did you post? I'm like, go look at how many I post.
Mm-hmm.
It takes volume.
Yep.
And with volume comes obviously results, but you also get better. Like in the process of you holding all those open houses and knocking all those doors, your sales skills improve tremendously.
Tremendously. One of the best things that I learned from when I hired my coach was, if you go door knock and you mess up, the person that you're about to knock on, the door that you're about to knock on next, they don't know that you just messed up. So just go. And I went from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. So I would knock on the door and, hey, my name is Sam. You want to sell your house? Crap, I probably should have said that. They shut the door in my face. No, get out of my neighborhood, whatever. But then I would go to the next door and I got better. Hi, my name is Sam Coleman with the Sam Coleman Luxury Group. The reason for my visit today is, crap, what did I say after that? Well, then I would go to the next door and then I would get better and better and better.
Right.
And then before I know it, it was like, you know what? Me and Martha were actually thinking about selling our house and moving to Florida. Oh, crap. Now I got to close them for a listing appointment.
Yep.
Yeah. And then
I got in the door. Now what?
Now what? Right. So then it became this challenge of like, all right, how do I get better? How do I get better? How do I get better? And with that volume, I made up in volume what I lacked in experience.
Yeah.
If you just do it and stay consistent, you'll trip and fall in the business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can make up, it's funny when I hear people that are like, yeah, I've been in the business for 20 years or whatever. Like, that's great. But you can catch those people fairly quickly with just outworking them, doing more volume.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is too, is doing it more efficiently. I think that's one thing that I've really focused on doing in everything that I do is like, how can I know I don't want to work that much. Like, how do I make my moves so efficient? Like, 'cause to relate it back to sports, right? Like, we know when you're in the post, how efficient you are with that first step is going to dictate whether you beat the guy or not, right? Beat him off the block, whatever it is. How efficient you are with your shot dictates whether you get blocked or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like one microsecond of inefficiency that dictates whether you make it or you miss it, you get a turnover or whatever. And so like, I think about that same thing in business. I'm like, how do I be so efficient with every movement that I make on every level, whether I'm making a podcast, whether I'm making a decision, because, if I take longer to make a decision, that delays everything.
Yep.
If I, misspeak when I'm trying to close a deal, that makes a break whether I get the deal or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how can you become as efficient as possible in all of the opportunities you get? Because you only get so many opportunities, right? And I think with what you learn over time is you take as many reps as you can, and eventually you start getting better and better and better. And so the results start to change where it's like, I don't need to knock 100 doors anymore.
Correct.
To get, that many deals. I can knock 25 doors and get the same amount of deals because I'm that much better now.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I teach my agents. So everybody looks at me now and they're saying, Sam, it's easy for you to say. Well, I said, well, you weren't out there in the rain with no umbrella knocking on doors when I failed 100 times, right? You weren't at the door when the nice lady let me in because she was like, honey, you're sweating so hard. Would you like a glass of water? Because I'm like, I'm not going home until I get an appointment. So when you say it's easy for me now because I put in my time. So I do this challenge with them and I say, hey, let's go out and let's see who will get the most contacts and who can get an appointment. So the secret is after we go and do that challenge, I'll always win. But what I tell them, the lesson is not for me to beat them or for them to feel humiliated because they didn't do it. The lesson is understand if I go out and talk to 5 people, I'm going to get 4 contacts and I'm going to get 3 appointments. If you go and talk to 5 people, you might not get any contacts and any appointments. But if you go talk to 50 people, you may get 15 contacts and 6 appointments. So that goes back to that philosophy. I made up in volume what I lacked in experience. So if you got to go talk to 100 people to get a deal, go talk to 100 people. And then now you have a metric and you can go based off that metric. Then over time, to your point, you get better. And then that number then significantly decreases. So for every 8 conversations I have, I get 2 deals. Like it's just a matter of time. And then the conversations that I have that don't lead to deals, they ultimately end up leading to referrals.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's 100% right.
Have you ever wanted to invest in real estate, but you didn't have the time to find deals yourself? That's where Fundrise comes in. Fundrise is a crowdfunding platform that has transacted over $5 billion in real estate and has over 150,000 active investors. While many funds, like my own, require accredited investors, Fundrise allows anyone to invest with as little as $500. If you'd like to learn more, check out fundrise.com. Once again, that's fundrise.com. Are you looking to find off-market real estate deals? One of the best tools my team uses is Batch Leads. With Batch Leads, you're able to pull data, manage lists, and send text messages. On top of that, you can get nationwide access to the MLS to get pictures and comps. My team has used Batch Leads to get some of our best deals, so I know it works. If you want to start today, you can get half off your first month by going to batchleads.io and using the promo code Ryan. Once again, that's batchleads.io, promo code Ryan for half off your first month. Now, back to the show.
Well, and I'll tell you too, like, once you develop the skills like you have, right, then you start thinking about things differently. And we talked about this off camera about, okay, I've got these skills. Is the way I've been using these skills the best use of them, right? So it's like, originally you start as a buyer's agent, and it's like, yeah, man, you could be a buyer's agent, but holy cow, it's not very scalable.
No.
You know, and it's a lot of headache. But then you take those same skills and apply it to just listings, and you're like, all of a sudden, this is way easier. I can get way more deals. I can do this. Then you take it a step further and you start saying, well, what if I only did listings for luxury? And then you're starting to just see like that same skill being used in a much more efficient manner.
Yep,
And
for sure.
That's probably led to more growth than anything.
So my mentor, for every 5 deals he does, I do 1. And we joke about it all the time. When he's like, man, if I would have started when you started when I was your age doing what you were doing, I'd be on a yacht right now. like it's incredible because I don't want to work this hard, right? So I understood that after getting that first $30,000 commission check. And now to fast forward, 5 years later in the business, it's not necessarily about the money. It's about the efficiency and the time and the freedom that I get along with that. And now the scalability factor is how do I take those same skills that I've acquired from going from buyer's agent to listing agent, from listing agent to team leader, from team leader to now business owner, and then multiple business owner to then duplicate those skills and embed those skills into other people and allow them to grow. Because seeing like my youngest agent, he's 20, seeing him go do exactly what I say do, and for him to make $100,000 this month, like it's so fulfilling for me. Like it's so cool to see him go out. And for 3 weeks after he got with me, he was like, dude, you know, this is really hard. And I said, I know it's hard, but if you do it, it'll change your life. The next day we went out and did that challenge. He got his first listing appointment, closed the deal. 3 weeks after being with me, I wrote him a check for $28,000.
Yeah.
Like that was his split afterward, right? So to see him go through those motions, feel those emotions, but then keep going, I'm like, that's what it takes.
Right.
That's what it takes.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And it's like the sooner you can learn these skills and, you know, how to use them in the best possible way, it's like, man, it starts to change things. Like for those listening, like many people know I own a lot of different businesses, but, you know, it's like I've had these same skills for a long time. And I was using them in my house flipping company really effectively. And I just started to realize there were other ways to use the skills that were going to make a lot more money.
Yep.
And, you know, I started using them for social media. I started using them for coaching. I started using them for e-commerce. And all of a sudden I'm like, man, these skills pay a lot more using them over here.
Yep.
And I'm just constantly looking at, you know, what's the next way I could utilize, you know, the skills that I've developed that are hard to develop. Like you said, they take a long time. They're not just something that people just can learn tomorrow.
Yep.
I can tell you what to do, but there's no way to rush repetition. You know, we know in sports, what's the rule? It's like it takes 10,000 hours to become a master or something. So it's like you can't rush 10,000 hours.
No.
It just takes what it takes.
Yep.
And so once you have it though, then it's like, man, okay, now that I've developed it, like what can I do with these?
And my message to anybody, especially if you're a new agent, you're getting into business, there's no shortcut. You have to 100% take the course. Like if you see the ad, the person that's running the ad for you to take the course is there 90% of the time, most of the time, whatever the percentage is, most of the time, because they've done something and they're successful at it, and it's a way, not the way, but a way for you to extract that information and then go put it to use. So you can't short the 10,000 hours, but there's now no excuse because information is too accessible. So one of the mental blocks that I had was being black and being in a luxury real estate business. There are no luxury black real estate agents doing it on a mega scale in Vegas. So I said, all right, well, why not me? So I took that. information that I learned from my coach, from YouTube, from the digital mentors of the world, from the Brad Lees, from the Zig Ziglars, all those philosophies, all those foundations and of sales. And I started to apply them. And it took 10,000 hours, like literally hours and hours of me beating on my craft to know what to say and then understand, like, all right, maybe I shouldn't have said it that way. It's a different way to say it. Then I start playing with mirroring and matching and then tonality and then tugging on the heartstrings and then making it not about them and making it about another person and then ultimately getting to the same end result. So I basically took all these things and I narrowed it down over those 10,000 hours to figure out what works for me. There's no shortcut to you finding your voice, whether it's a script. And agents say all the time, well, I hate scripts. Well, you don't know what to say. So a script is just a foundation of you finding your voice with the right words to say. So I took those scripts. I was the same way. Oh, I'm black and there's no luxury agents and, oh, I'm not reading the script. I sound like a robot. Those are all excuses and it's bogus.
Yeah.
Right. So I did away with all the limiting beliefs. And then I just sat down, laced my bootstraps, and I said, all right, well, what do I got to say? And I practiced every day with my wife in the mirror, just saying those scripts over and over and over again until I got it down. And now it's not me sounding like a robot. It's just who I am as a person. It's my voice because I know what to say.
Yeah, no, I love that. Let's talk about limiting beliefs because I think that's something that we all have, whether we're aware of them or not, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think becoming aware of your limiting beliefs is the first step. But like before I got into house flipping, my limiting belief was I needed a lot of money. I said, dude, every house flipper's got tons of cash. Like there's no way you could flip without it. And I learned that was a false belief. Like you actually don't need a lot of money. You can go get money from other people who've got money. You can go handle the deal. You get wholesale. You could get hard money. There's like a million ways to get money. And today with them printing more money than ever, getting money is easy. So, that was a limiting belief for me. But, you're talking about how the limiting belief for you was your skin color. Black guy trying to do luxury real estate. No one else is doing it. You got really no one else to, look up to say, hey, what kind of struggles did you have when you're going to this? Maybe you're going to these all white neighborhoods and, trying to go door knock and people are like looking at you funny, So like, how did you get over that limiting belief and like really get past it? Because I'm sure obviously you went through racism, adversity. Like what was it like?
So I've been chased by dogs. I'll never forget this one community, in my early door knocking days. So I knock on this gentleman's door. Don't know who's behind the door, what the situation is, but this particular door I'll never forget. So the guy opens the door and I can hear dogs barking. So I'm not afraid of dogs. I've had moments in my life where I've been afraid of dogs, but like I have dogs, so I'm not afraid of them. They're just barking. The doorbell rang. Well, that was not the case. This was not Sparky or Fluffy coming to lick me. It was not a doodle. It was a German Shepherd, 100-pound German Shepherd, and a Belgian Malamute. Well, when he opened the door, what the F do you want? Why the F are you in my community knocking on my effing door? The teeth of the German Shepherd and the drool were flying out of the door. Then I heard, boom. Well, that was the Belgian Malamute jumping up against the door, trying to get out, clawing at it. Like I can see the nails, the paws under that door trying to get out. Well, he then proceeds to curse me out and tell me to get the F out of his neighborhood and go knock somewhere that I should be, basically in a nutshell. Yep. And as I turn to walk away, the door opens. One of the dogs gets out. I'm in a courtyard. In that courtyard, there are like planters on both sides of the gate, and the gate was shut, and it was one of those gates that latch. So I had to jump over. I jumped over the gate. I'm in dress shoes. I got my big tie on. I'm doing my thing. But all I knew is these dogs were behind me, and then one of the dogs got out. So I jumped over, and literally barely getting over the gate, the dogs are now in the courtyard barking, blah, 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 blah. Never went back to that community, by the way. Never went back. But in that moment, I had to make a decision. It wasn't about, at that point, I wasn't really making the money yet. No real breakthroughs had happened, but it was about, am I going to allow this to make me never come back and door knock again or go hide in the office and make the phone calls? No. So the next day I said, all right, I'm gonna go to the community next door. And when I hear a dog bark, I'm out of there.
I'm gonna learn my lesson.
I'm gonna learn my lesson.
Yeah.
And then I've had other opportunities where I've been inside of an open house, and I used to stand away from the door, like in the kitchen, because I would see people would drive up and I would be standing there ready to welcome them in. They wouldn't get out of the car. They would drive by. Yeah. So then that would trigger me. Is it because I'm black? They didn't want to come in. So then I started to stand in the kitchen So in my mind, if they would just come through the door and they would just meet me and listen to what I have to say, they would trust me because I'm a great guy. I'm taking care of my family. I'm doing the right thing. I'm this great guy. I just gotta talk to them.
Right.
So that was another limiting belief that I had. And it went from me standing in the kitchen to now I'm out front. When people are coming up, I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm telling them about the outside of the community. I'm telling them about the community itself. I know the schools. I know every single homeowner in the community because I've been chased by their dogs. I've been put in the Facebook groups, right? And I've had people not want to shake my hand. I've had the racist remarks. You know, I've had the police called on me. I've been 86 out of guard gated communities, right? So I've done all these things. So mentally, I had to make a choice. Am I going to let these things hold me back, or am I going to keep going? Now, on the other side of it, by me continuously just persevering and being consistent at it, now when I see people, they're like, "Oh, you're the open door guy. You're the guy that on Instagram that opens all the doors. Or you're the real estate guy that used to play basketball." So on the other side of it, who I became was a result of me going through that adversity. It revealed to me that all of the things that I have were already inside of me, and those limiting beliefs could have held me back. Being from Baltimore, not having a dad, not having a financial plan, not having a mentor, duplicating what my dad did, having a child out of wedlock, all these, being cut from sports, not having any money, having bad credit. All of these things could have held me back and kept me small, kept me in the stands cheerleading or pontificating about things that I have zero experience about. Or I could get in the game, pull up my pants and say, you know what, it's time to be a man. It's time for me to grow up. So what? I've been shot at. I've been robbed. I've been held at gunpoint. Anything that you can think of. Growing up in the city is not for the weak-hearted. Growing up in Baltimore City was not for the weak-hearted, but I'm not going to allow my past or my upbringing to keep me or dictate where I'm going. Like I'm driving. Every day that God gives me an opportunity to wake up, I'm driving the direction that I want to go, and you're either going to get in the car with me or get the heck out of my way. Like that's just as simple as that. And nobody or whether they're racist, people in my comments, or somebody that's, oh man, he's just lucky, or he's just 6'10". Well, 6'10" ain't helped me when I was with the Suns. 6'10" ain't helped me when it was 100 degrees outside and I'm putting out 35 signs, right? So I would just say that the most important thing is making that choice, whether you're going to let those limiting beliefs hold you back or are you going to lean into them, because two opportunities will show you who you are: extreme comfort or adversity.
Right.
And it will reveal to you who you really are.
I love that, dude. I love it. I think, the biggest thing I took away from that is like, we all have different life experiences, based on our upbringing, how we look, everything. And we all have strengths and weaknesses, like, and it's just really a matter of like, are you aware of them? And are you aware of like what people will think of you? Like I've constantly thought about this a lot. It's like, man, people want to, try and make the world this like fluffy place where everybody should get along and treat each other, the right way. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that sounds good on paper, but I'll tell you what, the day sin entered the world, it hasn't been that way. No. And it ain't changing anytime soon. So, like at the end of the day, the world's a messed up place, and like you can acknowledge it and see it for what it is, or, you can complain about it and then, be a victim, and, nothing will happen for you.
Yep.
And I think with what you're saying is that, look, all these things happened to me over the years, and I had a choice to just continue to, let them continue happening, or I can just say, you know what, I'm going to learn from these. Yep. I'm going to accept and embrace, the perceived, disadvantage I might have. And anyone can do it, man. Like, people are successful regardless of skin color, height, athletic, how smart they are. Man, there's a lot of dumb freaking rich people. I'll tell you that.
For sure.
And it just is like, who wants it bad enough? That's what it comes down to.
I mean, ultimately, man, like, we're all a bunch of broken pieces.
Yep.
And I like to look at those cracks of those broken pieces as valleys. But in those valleys, that's where it rains. And where it rains, that's where growth is. That's where I find refuge. That's where I find peace. That's where I find that adversity, that next level. And the problem is most people stop in those valleys. They just stop. And when it's raining, they're in the mud. They stay in the mud. they don't get to the sunshine. They don't get through the rain. They don't get to see the harvest and the flowers bloom because they stay in those places. And if you can acknowledge the fact that, crap, I'm in this messed up situation, nobody's coming to save me. The alternative is I go that way or I go that way. What's the alternative? Like, if it's hard, just do it hard. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Because the alternative is the opposite of what you want anyway.
Right.
So just go through it and grow through it.
Right. Well, you know what's funny is like anyone's perceived, weakness is a strength, like to someone else. It's like you're like, oh man, before you're like, man, I'm black in these rich neighborhoods, and I don't fit in, and whatever's happening. And then there are people who would look at you and say, well, dude, you're like you said, 6'10", you're a former pro athlete. Like, dude, you got it all made. And it's just like two different perceptions of like, in your mind, you're like, I'm at a disadvantage. In someone else's mind, they're like, what are you talking about?
Yep, for sure. Well, and that's such a great point, because when people think about me being an ex-athlete, like in 2010, I had my shot with the Rockets, right? So I went from playing mid-level Division I basketball to, prior to that, you couldn't give me away in high school. I didn't dunk the ball till I was 19. I was driving a forklift in 2000, I think it was 2006, 2007, I was driving a forklift for Rite Aid Warehouse. And then I had another part-time job where I was working for Cisco in the freezer, driving a forklift at night. And randomly playing open gym at the Carmelo Anthony Center, then going to Coppin State University. That's how I got my Division I opportunity. The coach came to me and said, what school do you go to? I said, I'm not in school. He said, well, I want to give you a full ride to my school. So that's how I got to play Division I basketball. And then going to I think I averaged like 6 points, like 4 rebounds a game. Nobody, the NBA was not banging down my door to draft me.
Right.
It was these small little steps and acts of faith and commitment to the process that got me to the door. And then when I got to the door, it was like, now it's time to knock this joint down. I'm going to knock this door down, because they didn't open it for me. There was nobody calling me. There was no coach coming to sit in my living room to talk about, I know you got 13 offers from UNC and all these other. There wasn't any of that. So I had to break those doors down. So when I got to get into the real estate industry, all of those things, all those levels of adversity and that level of intensity that I've been going through year after year after year after year, that's all I knew. That's what I resonated with. That was what was in me. So it wasn't the fact that I was 6'10", because it never benefited me then. What I did realize was, being 6'10", this is a God-given ability that I have, right? Kevin Hart's 5'5".
Yeah.
Like, so it's not a height thing.
Yeah, he's pretty successful.
But he's pretty successful, right? Muggsy Bogues. Dude, like, there's, like, it's not that, like, he took that disadvantage to the world and made it an advantage, right? And that's what they're known for. So for me, it wasn't about, I've never sold a home to an NBA player. Like, I've never, like, my athletic friends, the truth is, they're not working with me because I'm the friend. I was the friend at that point before I built my business. I was the homie, right? So to go from jersey to suit and tie, at that moment, they didn't trust me. Now I'm starting to get NBA clients. Now I have high level celebrities. Now I have clientele that are affluent. But at that point, when I was starting my business, it wasn't just because, Sam, we were teammates. Let me just buy this $1 million house with you. No, it's like, dude. Yeah. Like, just a couple years ago, we were in a strip club together. like no. Yeah. So, and then I started to be refined, and it was like, wait, Sam, you're different. Like, those club invites, I'm not going. Like, you want to go get drunk? No, I'm not really drinking at all. Like, I have a glass of wine. Let's take these shots. I don't take shots. Like, I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go get my workout in so I can be with my wife and my kids. Like, I got a business to run. So as I started to become more and things started to change, then the circles that I was in started to change. The proximity to affluent people started to change. My conversations started to change. And the people that were at one point holding me down or holding me back, the crabs in the barrel that I was then reaching out to because that's who I was allowing in my circle, they started to go away. Right. And then now it became me reaching down to help people up while I'm reaching up, getting more information from other people doing what I want to do.
Right. So for these people that, maybe are going through similar struggles, they've got limiting beliefs, whatever it is, what do you think that someone can do to kind of get over them and eliminate them?
First and foremost, being self-aware. Like, looking in the mirror. I had to look in the mirror. I'm like a mix between between a Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, and David Goggins. Like the aspect of like I have this knowledge and this ability to communicate like Jim Rohn. That's how I like to think of myself. And then there's the Tony Robbins, the be inspired, to be motivated. And then there's the David Goggins, where you got to look in the mirror and say, I suck. I've put myself in this position. I stood in a line to go get a pair of J's. I woke up to spend rent money on a bottle in the club. I'm out flexing on a date when I really don't have it. That same amount of money could have bought a course, but it does not bring what you want in that moment. And it's really being self-aware, saying the things that I'm spending my money on and spending my time doing are filling a short-term void that's keeping me away. So I'm sacrificing what I want long-term for what I want right now. And then you just go keep repeating it. Get real with yourself and say, I'm in this position because of decisions that I made. Then get inspired, not motivated, but get inspired. Find where you want to go, set your sail, plant that flag and say, you know what, I'm going there. I don't know how to get there, but I'm going to start going that direction, be inspired, and then change who you are. Change who you are. I like the philosophy that really helped me do that was the be, do, have philosophy. Like everybody lives have, do, be. So if I have the nice car, I'll sell luxury real estate. Well, if I have all the listings, then I'll go do the things that I'm supposed to do, and then I'll be this awesome person that everybody wants to be about. I flip that philosophy and say, now, what does the Sam at 40 years old look like? What is the successful $50 million man that's philanthropic, that just gives so much? Like, what does that person look like? Then I start being it. Then that leads me to the things that I need to do. And as I'm doing those things, the being, the doing will lead me to the having. If I do all these things that are important, if I be this person and do all these things that are important, I'll have all the things that I want. The having is the easy part. The stuff that we acquire is easy to say it on this side of having. Like my wife doesn't even know how to Christmas shop for me. She's just like, dude, like there's nothing more that we need. We have what God says, all that we need and enough to share and enough to give it away. So it's hard for me to acquire stuff now because I'm like, the more stuff I get, the stuff doesn't make me happy. It's being that leads me to the doing that makes me happy, and then watching people enjoy the having. Like not my having. I know what it feels like to have. But the more I become, the more I get to do, and the more others get to have. So becoming self-aware, and then take that philosophy and define what that girl or that guy looks like. What do you want to be? And then start being it now. Don't postpone the being. Do the being now.
I love that, dude. I knew you were a good realtor, but I did not know you were a philosophizer, just like Jim Rohn and these guys. Man. You're bringing the heat today. It's funny because sometimes on these podcasts, we get guys, like you, who are just like, they start walking me down this like crazy rabbit hole of different philosophies. I'm like, holy crap, this is nuts.
Yeah, I'm a man of mantras, and I'm a glutton for information because I have two things that I can control: my work ethic and how I show up, and the knowledge that I can gain and then apply and give away. So I know if I put in the time and work, then I can go get knowledge. Then I can put that knowledge to work. So those are my greatest attributes. I can go learn something and then put it to use right away. I will stop reading a book 1 page in just so I can go apply what I've learned. I don't care how long it takes me to finish the book, because if I'm reading the book to get nuggets from it, if I get a nugget now and it can help me right now, I'm going to do it. And if it doesn't work, then I'll go back and read the book. But I'm going to sit down and figure out how I can implement what I learn. And that's been what's been profitable for me.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's funny because when I give advice, I'm just like super straightforward. I'm like, yo, you got a limiting belief, freaking just stop doing believe you can do it.
Yep.
What else is there for me to tell you? Like, just believe. And I just know, and that's why there's so many great different people you can follow, because, I've never been a guy who's liked Tony Robbins and any of these guys did. Like I remember I went to Russell Brunson's Funnel Hackers back in 2018, and Tony Robbins was the keynote. And it was like $1,000 to attend the event. They're like, this is the cheapest event you'll ever go to that has Tony Robbins.
Right.
I was like, whatever. Like, I'll go to it, I guess. Like, I really want to see Russell Brunson, but like if Tony's there, that's cool.
Yep.
And then, I watched Russell and I liked it because I resonate more with like strategy and tactical stuff. And then like Tony was the last day. And then I remember like, he gets on stage and, he starts talking like all this philosophy and like getting people hyped and like everyone's jumping and like screaming. I'm like, dude, this is not for me. Like I'm so out of place right now. I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. This is like, I can't handle this. But the whole point of it is just like, man, whatever freaking gets you going.
Correct.
I don't care if you need to hear the craziest philosophy ever, or if you just need to be told in plain words of like, just go do it. And like David Goggins style, like there's no way to like say this right. Just effing do it.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's what, like, I can't listen to David Goggins around my wife.
No, you can't.
Right. So it's like David he's an acquired taste. And I've learned for myself, I'm an acquired taste. I'm very intense. So I have my team meetings and everybody's always like, Sam, we leave, like, we start out feeling attacked, then we feel inspired. Then it's like, yo, I can go do this. So I go through these different phases of coaching where I'm going to tell you the truth and you're not going to like it. Because that's what has to happen. I think we live in a society now where the world is so, anybody can get canceled for anything. Somebody will probably find a way to cancel me from this talk.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the world that we live in. But I don't care. Because now I know what I'm walking in purpose. And my purpose is bigger than how I feel. So if I can take what David Goggins says, if I can take what a Tony Robbins says, if I can take what a Jim Rohn says, or a Zig Ziglar, or John Maxwell, and become a better human being, become a better leader. That's what works for me, right? So it was me going through this phase of discovery, finding out these bits and pieces of information and how I can extract them and then become a better person. Now, you got, like you said, it's all these people that you can follow. Like, I learned so much from Brad Lee, like just being in closer school like 2 years ago, like when he first started, or 3 years, whenever it was when he first started closer school. And it was like, I took this little nugget about overcoming objections. And then like, I never had another issue with objections ever again. Like, it was that small, brief moment where I took that nugget, then I applied it, and I'm like, oh, this works.
Yeah. You want to talk about a storyteller? I listen to Brad, and I'm like, where does this guy come up with this stuff? Like, this guy has like the most random stories and philosophies I've ever heard. But
can paint a picture, man.
Yeah. He's good.
Yeah, for sure. But I do all that stuff, and I say all that to say it doesn't matter. It may be somebody completely different. Like, even, I'll tell you another, like Mel Robbins. Like, I listened to a talk from her where she said she pretends that NASA is at her doorstep or next to her bed, and she counts down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to help her get out of bed. That's something I still do today. Like this morning, my alarm goes off at 4:15. I'm like, dude, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. David Goggins kicks in. Just go do it. Just go do it. Like, I'm not going to think. I'm not even going to give myself a chance to think. So then I get up and I start my day with my journal and I pray and I start with something that's going to get me that feeling of poise and peace. I start my day with peace before I go and address the world. And then I go to the gym. Then I get my gym in, right? So then it's like, all right, at 5 a.m., I'm beating on the door of life. I'm taking control of it. That's what works for me. Right, so it's a matter of you finding what works for you. It may not be the gym for you. It may like my kids and my family and the generations to come is that's my focal point. I have my numbers, my sticky notes all around my house, in my car, my affirmations and things like that work for me. But most importantly, it's like, am I walking in purpose today? Is what I'm going to do is what I'm feeling, what I'm believing, my 7 equities of life, are they in line with my purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. So what's the future hold for you, dude?
A lot of good things. A lot of great things. Good is the enemy of great, but a lot of great things. Most immediate is scaling my team. So finding more people in the real estate business that are trying to find their way. The people that nobody wanted to spend time with, because when I first started my business, nobody wanted to help me. So now I have a mission to stick it to every single person that watched me struggle that could have helped me. So I want to be the person that helps agents in the masses and do the business the right way, be ethical and be classy. Like, I have agents on my team right now going through transactions where it's not the people, it's not the house, it's not the economy, it's the agent on the other side. So now I am on a quest to make our industry better. So scaling my team on a bigger scale, and then ultimately being like Ryan Pineda. Investing. and investing in real estate. So I took the another avenue of investing. I took the Warren Buffett strategy right away, because with no information, I went to, if I want to have money, look at the richest people in the world. Like, I'm not Jeff Bezos. So, like, is my company going to be Amazon? I don't know. But I know Warren Buffett's strategy. So in 25 years, I have my number and what that number looks like and what I have to do to get to that number so I can have complete freedom. So I took that route. But in the short term, it's like, wait, I have a tremendous opportunity with my high income earning right now to expedite that process or multiply that process now. So we're fortunate enough as a team to be successful selling real estate, getting into education and teaching people about not just finances, not just about selling more real estate, but finances and how important it is to have a plan for your money, how important personal brand is with the Lux Academy, and then also Lux Holdings, getting into long-term holds, and then my true love is fashion. So at some point, I'm starting to get a lot of brand deals and companies that are sponsoring me, but at some point I will have my own, fashion brand for men that are men and women that are taller, for all my giants out there.
Yeah.
But something a little bit cooler, with a little bit more swag.
I
So
like it.
that's my end goal. So I want to spend the rest of my days like Dapper Dan, so where I'm going around and my job is to be fashionably classy for the rest of my life.
There you go,
Yeah.
dude. That's awesome, man. I love it, man.
Yeah.
It's funny because, I actually did a call with Ryan Serhant's coaching students and stuff. And my whole thing to them was like, guys, don't just freaking look at every seller like they're just a listing.
Correct.
Try and buy some of these houses, dude. You can make a lot more money doing that.
Yep.
So I'm glad to see you embracing that. I want to see you, buy some rentals, flip some houses, turn a lot of these leads into some investments.
Yeah, and then now it's when I'm on this side of the fence, now I get to empower my agents and I give more opportunity for them, because if I'm still in the game, I'm going to win. But at what cost does winning? At what cost am I going to pay to win? I don't want to be in real estate 20 years from now being the best door knocker to ever live or the best circle prospector to ever live. Like, that's not how this is going down. But now I'm giving those opportunities to my team. So I give a lot of my business away, and I personally deal with the people that I want to work with, because it's not about the money for me. It's about the people, to your point.
Right.
When I have those opportunities with those people, now I can capitalize on them.
Right, 100%.
Yep.
Well, dude, it's been a blast having you on, man. Proud of
Same,
your
man.
success, and just I think everyone got a lot of value today. Guys, if you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. We'll link to Sam's socials down below so you guys can reach out to him. But, man, it's been a lot of fun, dude.
Same, man. I really appreciate it. And you are freaking killing it, man. I'm honored to be here.
Appreciate that, dude.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Thanks for watching The Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to work with me, head over to ryanpineda.com. You can find my courses, coaching programs, and upcoming events. We also have free resources you can download, so head over to ryanpineda.com.